Hello and welcome everyone to this summary of turn 7 of my solo playtest playthrough of my Memoir 44 double breakthrough map scenario Force versus Finesse on the Battle of Dubno Brody that took place during late June and early July of 1941 on the Eastern Front. As you can see, the preliminary score at the end of turn 7 is 16 for the Russians and 13 for the Germans, so they really are closing in. So if the Russians still want to squeeze out a victory, which they will achieve if they reach 24 victory points, then they will need to hurry up probably, because if they don't, then the Germans will almost certainly catch up with them. So which cards were played on this turn? On the right-hand board, the Germans played 2 on the right flank. So for the Germans, that is actually because they're technically sitting on the other side of the table, so to speak. So it was these 2 units over here and a couple on the move, which are shown by the red markers or indicators there. And the Russians attacked with 3 units on that side. They didn't actually do much attacking, but I'll provide you a little bit more detail of what happened. Anyway, I believe this village wasn't even, or town, Vinica, wasn't even defended anymore. So the tank unit moved from here, more or less, into the town hex, claiming the medal there for the Germans. Replaced the Russian one there. I suppose one could also place battle star markers to denote medals, but I'm afraid I might not have quite enough to cover those town hexes, as well as all the special units that require a star or so. So I just put a Russian and a German one, and whoever controls it has it on their medal stand, and the side that doesn't has the medal put back on the board. I'm not sure if that's the official rule, but that's how I've been playing it, and it works just fine. As you can see, for the ground reinforcement roll, well, one thing the Germans certainly got was a flag, and they moved the 88 on the move. Do believe that this unit actually took out a Russian unit and claimed a medal. This one attacked the KV-1 on the initial roll. It did have a grenade result, but not on the reroll, so nothing happened. Yeah, what else happened here? Well, what did the Russians do? Yet another KV tank moved from here into the village. Obviously, when you move into a village or town, you can't attack anymore. And other than that, I tried to move up some units from the back. So technically they would have been able to attack, but everything is much too far away. I moved the artillery out of Rivno because I'm hoping to move it along the road so that it can help defend Lutsk, which is very important, because one of the sudden death victories is to control Lutsk and Dubno, which is actually defended now on the other board, and Brody, which is currently not protected, and not really, that is. So they really have to make sure that Germans don't claim a sudden death like that over there. And perhaps also noteworthy is that the Russians got an armored car on their ground reinforcement roll. I believe the Germans didn't get anything on that board this turn, but they got 2 regular infantry last turn and a flag result this turn, so I guess it was worthwhile. Anyway, what happened on the other board? The Germans played counterattack. The card the Russians played on the previous turn was move out, so they also played a move out, meaning that they got to move or attack with 4 infantry units, and the Russians played a probe on the right flank, which was obviously here because the Russians are on this side, and they attacked. Well, let's start with the Germans because they go first all the time. What happened? Let's see. Well, you can see the 4 infantry units that I used. Supply trucks also count as infantry. I moved them behind these units so they could technically resupply them if necessary. The Special Forces infantry moved up and it attacked the artillery in the woods, but just one die and nothing happened. And this one rolled 3 dice, but I believe it rolled 3 infantry symbols, so nothing happened to the tank unit. The Russians, what did they do? They moved up some units. These two were on the move. These two attacked. First I tried attacking with the infantry into the town, but despite the 2 dice that they rolled, they didn't kill the single German infantry figure that was there. That way they would have reclaimed the medal, at least temporarily. The artillery from Berestechko also fired, and they did finally eliminate the German unit that was in that hex. The Germans also got a special infantry unit on their ground reinforcement roll. So again, the Russians moved up units here, as I just explained. The town of Dubno is very important to keep control of. So they really moved up. Probably a better position would be this one. Well, it's an infantry unit, so maybe even the town hex isn't that bad. But it could also move over here. I mean, you really want to use the cover of the woods to defend the approaches from this side and from Berestechko, I suppose. They also got a regular tank unit as reinforcements, which, again, in this scenario for the Russians isn't very strong. A regular tank unit, that is, because it only consists of 2 tank figures. This one, also on the reinforcement roll, the flag was rolled and it moved up here so that it can possibly cover the road if the Germans manage to break through, because you really, as I tried to explain before, you really want to keep possession of Ternopil, because if the Germans exit units from there, they score victory points, and if they exit up to 6 units, which doesn't necessarily need to happen from here, it could happen on 2 other points of the board as well, which I explained earlier on in another video. But yeah, that would be, well, a sudden death victory. So this is truly crucial for the Russians to hold on to, and this unit can project some firepower either onto the woods here. It would be -2, I suppose, but I mean, it's better than nothing. And if they do try to actually move towards the village, town, this is actually a town, then they can project some extra firepower, and on subsequent turns I'm hoping to move up some more armor. And again, I've explained that before, that is a mistake I've been making. First couple of turns that I forgot with section cards to actually move units on the move as well. I completely forgot about that. Not sure how often it happened. I guess maybe 2 or 3 times per side, because I also played tactic cards, which don't allow for any on-the-move orders other than those granted by the ground reinforcement rolls. But yeah, I mean, I would have been technically able, both for the Germans and the Russians, to move up some units from the rear, which probably would have made the fight for this particular area much more intense already. And since the Russians start with a big lead in victory medals because of town control, controlling the towns. Town control is actually a rule, but it's not being used in this scenario. But for controlling so many towns, and a big fight over here might have yielded the Russians' victory, meaning 24 medals or so. So this sums up turn 7, I'd say. I'm hoping to see you again on turn 8. I've explained a little bit of the tactical situation on the board too, and that you are probably going to be seeing a fight in this area over here, which is what happened historically as well. Lutsk is also very important for the Russians to hold on to because of the sudden death victory conditions I just explained to you. And all of these units really need to move up to the front as well to hopefully keep the Germans on the other side of the river. But in this case, that won't even be enough, because control of the town itself, if it is controlled along with the other 2 towns I've mentioned, yeah, that's enough actually. But as long as the Russians keep control of one or two of them, they will obviously prevent the sudden death victory condition. But the Germans already have 4 out of the 8 town hexes as well. If they claim 2 more, then the Russians will not be rolling 7 dice anymore for their ground reinforcements, but that number will be reduced to the 4 that they will technically be allowed to roll anyway, because that's the number of command points they have. So that's another reason for the Russians not to give up town hexes too easily, because as soon as they lose the majority of town hexes, they also lose the benefit of rolling lots of cards, and probably they will not be receiving many reinforcements anymore. So yeah, that's what's going on. I hope you're if you're still around, it must mean you're enjoying my playthrough and how everything has been going. And well, I'll keep on playtesting. I'll definitely keep recording videos until one of the two sides wins, and then I'll do another one, at least one, probably more, but I'll do a quick summary of yet another playtest I'm going to do, but then only the end of it probably, or unless something really exciting happens that I feel like sharing. So thank you again for watching. This was turn 7. See you at the end of turn 8.